I'm moving house today. It's been 2 years, 8 months and 28 days, and I've got to say that as I step off the bus for what could be the last time spent as sitting in your boss supermarket queues, etc. And I have to say though, it's only today that I'm glad to be leaving. I really will miss the when Santa
listening to truthconduit.com with Chris McMillan.
That's great. Walter Chan, high ticket sales closer, Autonomy Season 1.
Yes.
How long have you been in the house now? Can you go out or what? What's going on?
Yeah. It's not it's normal school day, normal work, like because I work at home now, so I don't go much, but if I need to go out, I just go out. I go to the supermarket. I go to the Costco. We have Costco here. I even took a picture last week in Costco where we went to Costco, buy some stuff, and there aren't people. We don't have hoarding problems until I took a picture about it. Like Costco, there are food, there are biscuits, there are boxes. It's not really gone or anything. It's normal. And then a couple of days later, because of the virus in Taiwan, the Covid19 increased to about more than 20 something, due to we have students and people coming back from Europe. So the virus from Europe was a different, I think a stronger strain or a mutated G.
Was this a couple of weeks ago, Walter? When was this?
A week or two ago.
Yeah. Because what's today? So, today's March 27th, 28th?
Yeah. Today is March. In Taiwan, it's 28th.
So 27th for me right now. Yeah. So it's in morning for you, and it's coming into the evening for me. Cool.
So because I'm checking now on Wikipedia, about it says coronavirus pandemic in Taiwan. So where in the beginning, like in December, Taiwan heard some news that there's some virus from China in Wuhan. And that's when they sent a team to go to China in December. And then they, later on, they think that it's going to be a pandemic. So by January 21st, the first case in Taiwan was confirmed by a 50-year-old woman who just returned from Taipei, from Wuhan, and she reported her, and she was hospitalized for that. And then the first death happened in February 16, and the guy involved a 60-year-old guy who had hepatitis B and diabetes. So basically, the virus makes if you got this kind of diseases, it'll make it worse and you die faster.
Yeah, we say underlying conditions. People with underlying conditions. When did Taiwan cut all transport to mainland China at some point, didn't they, as well?
Yes. They banned the flights coming from China, from Wuhan in some cities. Yeah. And that was, I think, maybe in January or February, something like that, early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in Taiwan, everybody's talking about Taiwan because you guys are like the exemplary country of how you handled it the best. So we were talking about that the other day. It was an article on March 20th, published on the Council of Foreign Relations, talking about the methods that they used in that regard. From your point of view, what happened? I mean, was there a point where you were not allowed to do things that you couldn't do before? Were businesses starting to get shut down? What changed from your point of view? And you're in Taipei, aren't you, Walter?
Yes, I live in Taipei. I'm near Taipei, about 4 kilometers from Taipei 101.
Yeah.
So basically, what changed is that a lot of in the beginning, like a lot of people just started to wear masks, of course, because we were warned to wear masks, stay at home as much as possible, don't go out, don't go to public places. And
And
right
Walter,
now,
sorry to interrupt, but at this point, was it voluntary, or were they saying, if we don't see you without a mask, you're going to be in trouble?
it's voluntary. The only thing that's involuntary that you need to do is if you travel abroad and you just came back, you have to self-quarantine yourself 14 days. And then if you don't self-quarantine yourself, you'll get fined. Like we have a penalty for that. For example, if they cannot find you within a couple of hours, you get fined how much? If you're gone for like 1 to 3 days and you didn't tell the authorities about it, you get fined like $1 million NT, which is about $30,000 US.
Okay.
That because it happened. Like last week, I saw in the news there was one guy who came from China, and he came back and he didn't. He gave a false address. He gave a false number and everything. And we were thinking maybe he's a spy from China or something. But anyway, and then later on, he was found in one of the cyber cafes. I don't know what he was doing there, but he was found in a cyber cafe, and he will be fined $1 million NT.
He was having a coffee and checking his email, man.
Sorry?
He was having a coffee and checking his email, of course.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's cyber cafe, and he didn't let the people know about it because he's like, So they're very strict on preventing it from coming in.
Yeah.
That's why they banned people. But then later on, I think just early this month, they stopped. They banned the flights coming in from other countries.
What businesses were any businesses forced to shut down or strongly asked in a voluntary way? How did they handle that? What is considered non-essential businesses? Was that even an issue at the time?
No, there are no businesses that are
like, are restaurants still open? Bars still open? Did they ever?
Yeah. Yes, it's all. As I know, it's like I could just go. It's normal. We are just everyone in Taipei who living in Taipei who didn't go out of the country. Actually, I went to Korea in January, but anyway, I came back, and it's a good thing when I came back. It was already like just starting.
Yeah.
So we can still go to the malls. We could still go to the parks and everything. As I remember, there was one time they just closed for me? No, I don't remember. Like the shops were asked to close. Yeah, I don't remember that because I still could go out and eat and everything. Yeah.
But if you went out, say you went out to the street and you didn't have a mask, was there any kind of social pressure? People going, "Hey, put your mask on," or any of that? Did any of that go on, or still going on?
No. In the beginning, the NHCC, the National Health, they they ask all of us to wear masks when you go out, and then earlier, like in this month, because the mask supply was being rationed.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to say, like in I was going to say that when they found out about this virus in January, the government actually told all the mask manufacturers that they cannot export masks. Mask exportation was stopped. No one was allowed to export masks outside the country because they were expecting this to happen.
Yeah, because they knew they were going to need them themselves in Taiwan.
So all manufacturers in Taiwan of masks were not allowed to ship out the masks. And then around maybe I think February, when it was the masks were really in high demand. And then in March, the government started, I think in February was it? They started rationing the masks. What happened is you could buy the mask for like only like 7 NT. Also, the government made it law that you cannot sell the mask at a higher price. You will go to jail for that.
Okay.
Like there was one I saw in the news. There was one, I think one drugstore or something, who kind of sold masks at a higher price. For like they sold about maybe 1,000 pieces or a couple thousand pieces, and they made some money, but they will be fined, penalized for selling it at a higher price. So yeah, so the government already has measures to avoid these things, because Taiwan learned a lot of this kind of virus epidemic due to SARS last time.
Yeah, you guys had a front row seat on that lesson years ago, didn't you?
Yeah, in SARS, what happened was a hospital called, like in English would be Peace Hospital, and they have an internal infection. And what happened is they closed down the hospital.
I read in that article. Yeah, go ahead.
And a lot of like the doctors and nurses died in that epidemic. So we wanted to prevent that. That's why they really took it seriously about this virus.
Well, I read in that article on the Council on Foreign Relations, they were saying that these apps were created letting the people know where they could get masks. For example, this store has got so many available. This store has got so many available. And apparently that made a huge impact on getting the masks distributed to everybody. Did you use that? Do you know anything about that?
Yes. I know that app. I also read that app about that. And people will use that also. But still, I could see people falling in line in drugstores. Like, when I went to buy breakfast, and there's a drugstore across the street at around 8 o'clock. People are already falling in line, like maybe 20 people or 30 people or 50 people. And you can see there's all sorts of different types of people. Like there's old, seniors, business, workers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were just waiting for the mask to come out. And because the government also rationed that in the beginning, it was like you could buy the mask at the convenience store in 7-Eleven. I don't know if you have 7-Eleven there.
We do.
7-Eleven?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could just buy it at 7-Eleven. You could buy maximum per person is 5 pieces.
And could you buy the mask before 7-Eleven, or did they specifically stock supermarkets like 7-Eleven because of the situation? The government had I think a cooperation with 7-Eleven only for that to give out 5 masks per person. Yeah.
And then in one day you get 5 per person. That's in the beginning of the virus stages.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the virus, like in January, something like that. And then later on, when I think the level of supply of masks went down, they lowered it to like 2 per week. Now it's 2 per week, and you have to use your national health insurance card. Before in 7-Eleven, you don't need to do that. You just go into 7-Eleven and say, I want to buy 5, and say, okay, same. But maybe after a couple of hours later, you could buy again. But of course, it'll run out. It'll easily run out. So in the beginning, we went to 7-Eleven, and you don't get it, and then go to the next one, 7-Eleven, to try to find one. Then you'll be able to buy it. Then the next one, I think a lot of people just overbuy. And then later on, the authorities said 2 per person per week. So 1 week, I have a card, it's a chip, a chip card with a IC card. They give it to them, and they'll put it in the system. So already the next day, Saturday, you'll be able to, the next Saturday, go to the drugstore and buy from the drugstore, which is at the lower price mask. Then right now, last week, the government just it's not imposed actually, they implemented wherein you could order it online and they could ship it to your house. I think you could get it at the convenience store. I haven't used it yet, but what I have is you could pre-order it online.
Yeah.
And you'll get it. But the thing is, you have to pay for the shipping.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Walter,
So
what about mention of any tracking going on? Was there any talk about following your location because of your cell phone like they're doing in China? Is there any talk about that in Taiwan?
Yeah. They did it for the people who are under quarantine. Like when you come from abroad, they'll give you an app and you have to you have to like turn it on and log in. And then if you that's what I'm saying. If turn on the app and then you disappear or it doesn't work, they'll go to your house and find you. And if they can't find you for a couple of hours, you get penalized. And then if you disappear for a couple of days, you get like maximum like $30,000 $35,000.
But if you haven't been infected or quarantined, there's absolutely it has no impact on your life whatsoever. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, for me and my family, we don't do anything. We don't need to do any working. We don't need to use the app or anything. It's just normal life for us. But last 2 weeks ago, I went to a seminar in the Taipei International Convention Center. Last 2 weeks ago for a 300 seminar. Then when I went there, when I registered, they give you a form, an app to fill in, and it will ask you, hey, did you go abroad? Did you talk with people who just came abroad and stuff like that? Yeah. So
but that was it. Only that, just a few questions.
Yeah, they just ask you a few questions, and then you will just fill it in and just send it back online. That's it.
Man,
it's not voluntary. It's not like you're forced to hey, you have to use the app, and each citizen is being, surveyed under surveillance.
Yeah. So is it business as usual then in Taiwan for the most part? I mean, how much has this affected the economy there at this point?
Yeah, it has affected a lot of, for example, takeout, like Uber and all these things went up. Their sales volume. Also, a lot of, I think, hey, wait a minute, I just remember. I think there was a time where the restaurants and the hotels were not allowed to operate. Sorry about that. I just remember the news about that.
So they did shut down for a while, yeah?
Yeah. There were hotels and the hotels, their business went down. So what happened is they make special rooms for people who want to do self-quarantine. That's one of the things that happen. And the other one would be the restaurants and hotel, the buffet and stuff. What happened is they make takeout foods instead.
Okay. And what about now? Can you go into the restaurants now? Is it still applying or is that finished?
Yeah, you could still go in. So I think the main point is it's not that they're told to close down. They're business just went down. People just don't go to the restaurants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if the government tell you don't go to these public places, people follow it. So what happened is the restaurants, they need to do business. So, but no one's coming in to eat, dine in. So what happened is takeout. And so what happened is they have to do another form of business. So what happened is they make takeout business instead of in. Yeah.
That's amazing because I suppose how this has affected China now and how, what's going on here in the States. We're just now starting all of that. But there's a bit of controversy about the necessity of the draconian measures of certain businesses having to be closed. Basically, they've just shut everything down in areas that have not even been affected yet. Yeah, it's a big problem. It's a big problem. But I'm really glad to see you again and see that you're doing well. And what about your sales then? Since this has started, how has it affected you and all of the gigs that you've got going on?
Yeah, because like for example, like I'm doing Bitcoin OTC over the counter. There was a guy who wanted to buy like 6 Bitcoins in Taichung, which is about 2 hours high speed rail ride down.
Yeah.
And due to that, I told him, sorry, I can't go down because the virus. Because
Yeah.
think about it, I could get infected on the train or on the bus or on the public transport. So people are more like, like safety first, health first. So
And it's
everyone
amazing
here,
because it's just common sense, The people were allowed to do this voluntarily because it makes sense. They did what made, just to protect themselves, but they weren't forced to.
Yes.
They weren't told to do this or do that, threatened by force, because that's what's going on in the States. They're really they're using this as an excuse to bring in the police state. And even in the small counties where I live, there are already reports of random police stops, papers, please, what are you doing out? Yeah, it's good to know that some places in the world are being much more reasonable about this, and it's successful apparently. According to that article that I read, the rate is pretty much under control. It's leveled off. I mean, do you know anyone that's been affected directly or indirectly? What are the numbers like right now, according to what they're telling us?
Right now, the virus in Taiwan is 267. And that was in March 18, it was only 100. And then after that, after March 18, people coming from Europe and stuff, it jumped up to like 200 now. So the people like what the Taiwan government did was prevention is really very strong. And also, one thing I read one article was saying, because the Taiwan people follow the law very diligently. So we were told not to go to public places, so we don't go. Like, there was one country where I was saying, they tell them, hey, don't go to school, go stay at home, like take no work today. It happened here, I think, and people just stayed at home. And then in other countries, what they did, they go out, go to the malls. They went out and enjoyed themselves and stuff and blah, blah, blah. So it happens, the infection, prevalent because of that. Because when the government tells you do this and you do it or diligently, and what happens, you help prevent it. Everyone here is, they are more law-abiding, as you would say.
And are the schools, did they ever close down? Are they still going?
Yeah, in the beginning, we closed some schools in here in Taiwan. In the beginning, yes.
But they're back running now?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. It wasn't closed down. It was, at that time, it was winter vacation. So what happened is they extended the winter vacation. That's the thing, yeah. So, for example, tomorrow we should go to school. What happened is the government extended by 1 week. Or was it 2 weeks? I think it's 2 weeks, yeah. Extended by 2 weeks. Say, okay, we'll extend your vacation by another 2 weeks. Because at that time, when it happened, it was in Chinese New Year. So Chinese in Taiwan, it was the holidays for the kids. Chinese New Year and the holidays. And then they extended the holiday by 2 weeks. And then what happened is they made the next semester earlier by 2 weeks. That's what I remember. So they adjusted the school system. Because,
I bet the kids were fantastic. I bet the kids were really happy. All the kids, there were probably a lot of happy kids in Taiwan during that time.
Yeah, stay at home mostly and just watch. Like my kids were just reading books, watching little cartoons, stuff like that.
That's
so
cool.
the government was preventing things, but weren't really extending it and preventing it. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, listen, Walter, I got to get going. Actually, I'm gonna hop on over to the other Zoom meeting tonight. Is the meet and greet for season 3. So
cool.
Yeah, you should.
I'll be glad.
Yeah, I'm glad I inconvenienced you this morning and drug you out of. You said, "Go on, get up, let's have a chat." grab your coffee.
Walking down the street, the children play. For them, it's just another day. The future's reflected in their parents' faces, who chose to stay on in this place. Well, they were born, went to school, got married, and kids, like their grandparents before them did. Got to escape, you know, before it's too late. Although today I could say that I really will miss the Buen Santa. Santa. But yeah, I was right. I knew what it was like. Buen Santa. The Buen Santa.
You've been listening to truthconduit.com with Chris McMillan. Go to the subscribe page and sign up to get notifications of the latest posts. And check out the support page to help keep it going.
Yeah, I've got a friend in Jesus Christ. I've got a friend in Jesus Christ, and Krishna and Buddha and my bartender.